Yeah, we got to stop giving these the media and these debunkers so much ammunition to hurt us with. A lot of people out there have been doing an excellent job of feeding them ammunition to just destroy us with and make us look silly. So.
Well, the thing is, I bet 99% of the population never heard of JREF. And, so with all the efforts those guys have gone to try to discredit the truth movement, I don't know what's behind them. I don't know if it's just a bunch of, they act like losers in my mind. Some of them have competence and so forth, but they're out there trying to discredit the efforts that are going on. And it's, they're not having an impact. I think if you look at the work that's actually been done, people are able to evaluate what they see, to see what's good work and what's a bunch of baloney,
Right.
And I think by and large, once people, look at this. Richard Gage, one of the things that happens with his talks is, Billy Graham would be envious of him, so he has this whole big tent kind of like the big tent evangelist type of guy for the truth movement, right? But he goes in to a large audience and, takes a show of hands, and a lot of times there's a lot of skeptics in the crowd, and guess what? There's a whole lot less by the time he's done. And the main reason he's able to do that is, hey, he shows Building 7 come down. And, and various other things. But if you were to go in and show Building 7 come down, you'd probably get the same result, It's like you're simply waking people up and showing them some of the real stuff that went on and giving them a very coherent, reasonable explanation for what must have happened.
Right.
And people have no trouble accepting that when they see it with their own eyes. So it's an easy sell.
Well, even was amazing to me was the whole Building What campaign. And, Geraldo Rivera for years was going around calling people crazy conspiracy theory nuts. And then all of a sudden, when I heard him say he had never really looked at Building 7 before, it was just blew my mind. Like, how could you go all these years saying that when you didn't even look at the building?
Yep.
And now you looked at the building and you say, well, what, these people could have been right all along?
Yes, Jeff. How come you haven't read that paper on thermite? Yeah.
No, it's just I'm lazy and I'm more of a video watcher than a reader, but I need to read, and so does everybody else.
Yeah. That paper, I highly recommend it. Find it at 911speakout.org and go to the links and find it. You can look at other stuff while you're there, but that paper is, people who put it down, they can get away with that only to the extent that people are ignorant.
Right.
Because if you go and see it, it is so carefully done. The sourcing of the dust, the conclusions they draw, there's no wild. It is a very, very elegant paper. And
it's based on facts and evidence.
Yeah, you need to read it. And you'll see for yourself how solid it is.
So you would say anybody that's serious about researching 9/11, it would be a really good idea to read this paper.
Absolutely.
And even, a high school educated person or someone that's not even educated in physics or something will be able to have an understanding of what's being said in it.
You could read the original paper and just skip over any equation you see and keep on going with the text, and you'll get the gist of the whole thing. And you'll get the sense of how they collected the dust, where it came down, how it could not have been contaminated by the cleanup because it was, they have little maps on where the samples were taken all over Manhattan. Like one was from the Brooklyn Bridge and a couple of them, there was one across the street from the Trade Center, but it was taken very shortly after the collapses, before any of the cleanup had started. So it's obviously material in the dust. It's like dust that blew into these people's apartments and was all over the floor, and they scooped some up and put it in a baggie. Or in the case of Jeanette McKinley, put it in big black trash bags because she wanted to do something with it later on because she's an artist,
Right.
And it was like, so all these people collected these samples, and it's very straightforward. And then when you start looking at it, and you need to understand, if you're going to read it, I have to understand Nano is a prefix. It's a billionth. All right? Like micro means millionth.
Right, like this is
so
super, super, super small.
But you need to basically, okay. Do you guys use metric up there in Canada? Like meters and millimeters and things?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if you use a meter, if you stretch out your arms a little bit more than you are, about 40 inches, that's a meter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you make 1,000 divisions of that, and that's a millimeter. So a millimeter is the thickness of a dime, all right, compared to 40 inches, which is a meter, okay? So there's 1,000 of those little marks on a meter stick, all right? Now, that's a picture of a 1,000-to-1 ratio, okay? Mm-hmm. And so if the meter represents something, then a millimeter represents 1,000th as big. Okay, now go down to where your millimeter, you want to divide your millimeter into 1,000 pieces, okay? That would be a micrometer,
mm-hmm.
All right? Now take the micrometer and divide it into 1,000 pieces. Now you have a nanometer. You got the picture?
I got the picture, yeah, for sure.
So if you know what a millimeter, take a thickness of a dime, mm-hmm. and once you look at a meter stick, you're looking at 1,000 little tiny marks there. It's about less than a 16th of an inch for a millimeter, you know? Mm-hmm. It's very tiny. Somewhere between a 32nd of an inch or somewhere in that range, okay? I haven't actually worked out a good number for that. Okay, so a thickness of a dime, 1,000th of that is a micrometer or a micron. And 1,000th of a micron would be a nanometer. Now, 100 nanometers is the size of it, so it's 1/100th as big as the red blood cell. And 1,000th as big as a human hair, things like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, tiny, tiny, tiny stuff. So if you understand that when they talk about nano, we're talking about something on that incredibly tiny scale. You can't see it with a microscope. Microscope is good for the micrometer, the micron range. You need an electron microscope to go down to where you can even see the particles here. And so it's so, so tiny. And so once you get that picture in your mind, go ahead and read that paper.
Well, I definitely want to encourage everyone, and I will myself definitely take the time to read this paper so I could get better educated about, the destruction issue.
Well, it'll be something to get excited about because it is so clear and so well presented, okay?
Well, thank you very much for coming on here tonight, David, and talking with me. I really found this to be educational for myself and hopefully for the listeners out there too.
All right.
And thank you for all that you do, and hopefully we'll get to talk again sometime.
Okay. We'll talk to you later.
Take care, David.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to my conversation with David Chandler tonight. You can find his website, 911speakout.org, where he has all kinds of extensive information, videos, and papers that are very important in understanding the issues of the destruction when it comes to the World Trade Centers, as well as World Trade Center 7. And I want to thank him for all the work he's done when it comes to investigating 9/11 in all different areas. And thank you for listening to Pumpitout Radio tonight for this Saturday, March 5th, 2011. Take care, everybody.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it. And that we will in fact find weapons or evidence of weapons programs that are conclusive. I don't think we'll discover anything myself. It appears that there were not weapons of mass destruction there.
You said you knew where they were.
I did not.
Know where they are. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad and east, west, south, and north.
Well, first of all, I haven't lied. There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Talking about lies and your allegation that there was bulletproof evidence of ties between Al-Qaeda and Iraq. Was that a lie?
Intelligence gathered by this and other governments leaves no doubt that the Iraqi regime continues to possess and conceal some of the most lethal weapons ever devised.
Are people going to find out the truth? And the truth will say that this intelligence was good intelligence. No doubt in my mind.
I don't know anybody that I can think of who has contended that the Iraqis had nuclear weapons.
And we believe he has, in fact, reconstituted nuclear weapons.
Saddam Hussein is determined to get his hands on a nuclear bomb.
We cannot wait for the final proof. He's got him. He's got him. The smoking gun. He's got him. It could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
Colin Powell didn't lie.
My colleagues, every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
He has not developed any significant capability with respect to weapons of mass destruction. He is unable to project conventional power against his neighbors.
Are people going to find out the truth?
I have not suggested there's a connection between Iraq and 9/11.
You have said in the past that it was, quote, pretty well confirmed.
No, I never said that.
Okay.
I never
think
said
that is...
No, absolutely not. What I said was, it's been pretty well confirmed that he did go to Prague and he did meet with a senior official of the Iraqi intelligence service.
Saddam Hussein aids and protects terrorists, including members of Al-Qaeda. Secretly and without fingerprints, he could provide one of his hidden weapons to terrorists or help them develop their own. What did Iraq have to do with what? The attack on the World Trade Center. Nothing.
He said there were three main reasons for going to war in Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein has gone to elaborate lengths, spent enormous sums, taken great risks to build and keep weapons of mass destruction.
The claim that Iraq was sponsoring terrorists would have attacked us on 9/11.
Before September the 11th, many in the world believed that Saddam Hussein could be contained.
And that Iraq had purchased nuclear materials from Niger.
The regime is seeking a nuclear bomb.
Now, all three of those turned out to be false.
First, just if I might correct a misperception, I don't think we ever said, at least I know I didn't say, that there was a direct connection between September the 11th and Saddam Hussein.
Who does the president think he's effing kidding?
Of course, it was information that was mistaken.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here.
When you have a precedent set like that, and you have somebody, George Tenet, acknowledging in his book that he knew that the administration was deceiving the American people into a situation that is murdering young men and women from this country and others, that George Tenet and Dick Cheney and Condoleezza Rice and George Bush et al. Should be in fucking jail.
I'm tired of hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
We're going to figure out what to do with all of the debris.
How about you made money off the Gulf War, and now you're going to vote for your fascist son? Old lie, war lie, still lie, stop the lie, stop the war!
It is important to stay.
Have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite.